I don't know if you can
Hello,
see
everyone. My name is Brent Frain. I am the host for Canadians with Disabilities and their Allies. Thanks for tuning in today. You can also tune into your favorite app where you find it available and more suitable. Spotify, iTunes Store, you name it, you'll find it and check it out. Subscribe to Neil Matheson's YouTube channel to stay up to date on the most recent shows. Hello, and we have a great segment today. I have Jeff Leggat joining me. I have Cassandra Pollock. I have Tom Pollocks, and Tom, the basic income guy from Victoria. You know, it's great having everyone together on this great joyous part of the year, and we're going to be doing a special segment today. It's kind of a Christmas theme, and talking and piling into about some numbers and seeing where things are at for Canadians with disabilities across this country. And hello, everyone. Hello, Tom.
Hello. I just realized I'm the only person who doesn't have his last name up there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Tom, the basic income guy.
Yeah, Tom, the basic income guy.
Tom is going to be playing.
I can actually overrule that, Tom.
Rename.
So I think I can do that. One sec.
And Jeff, hello. How are you doing?
How are you guys?
Hey, Jeff.
It's great. For people tuning in today, my first little intro comment, I'd love to just tell everyone across the nation, we hear you, we see you, and I know that this time of the year is very difficult for Canadians, from low income to seniors, people with disabilities. People are struggling. Just people that are making really good money per hour, they're struggling. But just imagine being in the shoes of a person with a disability. Anyone can become disabled at any point of time in their life. They have hidden disabilities. They have other cognitive disabilities. Nobody should be treated differently for who they are. You are loved. You are loved by us and by your fellow citizens. And I want Canada to treat people with disabilities across Canada and around the world. I mean, really, because there's no boundaries, right? I mean, this is the channel that we focus on Canadians with disabilities, but it also echoes across other parts of the world too. And so with that being said, Canada has the collective wealth that they can provide for all their citizens, and there's no excuses. There's no more excuses of why people should be suffering in legislated poverty. With that, I'm going to start right away with Jeff to launch this, and then we'll carry on from that point on.
Thanks,
so
Brent.
Tune in, everyone.
Thank you. Hey, guys. Just a quick message, as I said yesterday on my own socials. If you need to reach out this Christmas holiday season, because it is tough in Ontario, everywhere across the country, trying to live on $1,000, $1,200 a month, less than in the eastern provinces, and $1,500 in BC. Reach out to food banks, reach out to churches. I'm a huge proponent that the United Church of Canada has to step in and make some noise. That's part of Jesus and part of activism. I encourage all churches across this country to start making a noise to make sure that people aren't kept in government-imposed poverty. Government-imposed poverty is legislated poverty. It means if someone is unable to financially support themselves, the government will step in and provide you with an income support. Up to now, based on the fact that you are only worthy if you can work for money and show some sort of labor in this economy, people have been supported at less than poverty level, whether it be seniors, veterans, people on welfare, and people with disabilities. So they're expected to survive on right now less than the official poverty level of Canada, which is ridiculous, because as a human being, we are all intrinsically worthy from the day that we're born. And if we're unable to contribute in a labor way, due to our age, due to our disabilities, due to the fact that we're our child caring for children, that kind of stuff, we should not be left less than poverty. We contribute to society in many other ways. So it has to be removed, this idea that labor equals worth.
Yes.
So please reach out to whoever you need to. Go online, make wish lists, be bold and say, look, I need this, 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 and this. Can you please help out people? If people see there's a need, they often will step up. And if they don't know there's a need, then they'll just keep on ignoring or not being aware. So we need to make people aware. That's part of our fight. There's so many aspects to our fight. Make people aware, make politicians aware, make politicians accountable, make the news aware, make this kind of program like we have here with Brent and Neil out there all the time, so people can say, people can't say, hey, I didn't know. We have to make sure that everybody, all 40 million people in Canada, are well aware that there's no excuse for poverty in the first world country of Canada with a GDP that we have. So whether that be, and when we're fighting, let's not try to fight with ourselves. Let's try to come together and fight the same goal. And we might have different ideas of how this fight should be, but whether it's like Tom fighting for a base, Toronto fighting for $3,500 a month, whether it's someone elsewhere fighting for guaranteed livable income, no matter what it is, no matter how the solution is achieved, if we're all fighting for the same kind of goal, then all we need to do is help each other out, give each other support, do all the petitions, do all the postcards. I know it's so draining because you have so many petitions to do, so many postcards to do, and so many of this to do, and it seems overwhelming. But you know what? MAID is coming up in 2024 and open up for people with disabilities, and I'll be damned if we're not going to have a raise before them, because that's just ridiculous. And that's another thing people have to be made aware of. But that'll be coming in after Christmas. Right now, we want to focus on you, getting you through Christmas, knowing that what you're doing counts, even if you're sitting at home and doing petitions, even if you're writing letters to your MPs, MLA, MPPs, every week, every day, even if you're calling Prime Minister's office or calling Pierre Poilievre's office, I don't care who it is, we're going to campaign every single politician in a House of Commons, regardless of their political party affiliation, because it is not a political party issue. It is a human issue.
Yeah.
Okay. Jump in?
Yeah, and definitely, Jeff, advocacy never takes a break. And poverty doesn't take a break either. So I want to say season's greetings to everybody. Merry Christmas. If I always say Merry Christmas, but some people say season's greetings. All the best to everybody across this nation. And I wish everyone the best for the next coming year in 2024. And know that we're all in this together, right? And I don't mean this from a political point of view either. Like, we're all in this together. Or some people say, well, nothing without us, or with us, or whatever it is. I mean, we're all advocating to make life better for each other, and we can achieve this goal, and we can do this. I know we can. So I pass it off to.
I was going to say before we pass this off, I was just going to say that I totally agree with Jeff that, I always say that we're all pushing the same rock up the hill, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's why we shouldn't be infighting with each other, because we can disagree on some finer points, but ultimately we all want to see poverty eliminated. And so that's the rock that we're trying to push up the hill, right? And we have MGN chat. I just wanted to mention that we have MGN chat, and he says that this time of year, it's it's so important. He says that most disabled people end up being isolated at this time of year, and it's really important to surround yourself with friends.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
that's why it's
That's
you know,
why I'm
it's
so happy to be with all these friends here.
it's a hard time of year though for a lot of people, I realize. So
Yeah,
It is.
and I'll always know that, you know, we hear you, and when we're advocating for you, if you feel that your voice is not being heard, or you know you don't feel comfortable about coming on to the show, and that's fine. You know, just know that we're out here, and we've got our network of groups, and we're all pushing up the same, like as Neil said, we're all pushing that big boulder up that steep hill, and when it comes up to the top of that hill, it comes down. Well, oh boy.
yeah.
We're not doing the Sisyphus thing where we're just endlessly pushing the rock up the hill.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Can
Yeah,
I throw out there?
Yeah.
Please don't get overwhelmed with Christmas expectations of the
Yes.
stream.
Yes.
I was watching. I'm with a friend of mine who's 84. She's bedridden, and I help her out. And we're at the dining room table right now, putting up little gift bags for all the careys that help her out.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
And we're watching some TV in the background, and it's City Line from Toronto. And
Yeah.
I haven't watched City Line for 30 years or whatever it's been, right?
Yeah.
And they're talking about how to decorate for Christmas. And you don't have to go out and buy the $1,500 tree. You can buy the $800 tree. And I was like, oh my God.
What are you talking about?
And they're talking about decorating and this and that and putting stockings up. And one lady said, just put money in the stockings. All the kids want is money. And I'm thinking to myself, that is not my Christmas.
No.
Do you know what?
Reflect me.
Two person, two income working households in Calgary. That's not their Christmas either.
I was so blown away that this is what they're showing.
Oh, I
on
know.
Main Street. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I know, like they're living like what? Yeah, I know. Another
My
planet.
Christmas
Like
is feeding the hungry and not wasting money on frivolous things because
Yeah.
you know what I mean. I don't get it. So please,
I don't either.
people out there across country, don't buy into it. You are loved. If you need to get by, if you need a can of beans or something, or try help with the buying a turkey or whatever, just reach out. Okay, we'll help each other out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the main thing about Christmas is coming together. I wrote a blog, which I'll probably be putting out again on Christmas, from a kind of, I get this kind of thing from like a basic income Christmas card about Christmas. And I wouldn't say that it had like, oh, and this proves this or anything like that. But the thing that you saw historically, all the way back to like the ancient Germanic people and the Romans and everything, was basically, it was a midwinter festival of everyone coming together and taking time and
giving to each other.
Yeah, and then it would be this kind of blowout that would get you through to January, and then hey, you're halfway home, and like spring's just around the corner. And so that's kind of like the spirit of it. And so if you can't, like, I know folks from my own life, if you can't do the massive thing, there's no shame in that. It's just unfortunate that that's even out there as a thing.
Well, and I always say, I don't care how much somebody spends on me. What I care about is the thought that they put. If you sat at your kitchen table and made a paper card with a nice thought in it for me, that would mean more to me than anything else you could buy, because it shows that you put thought and you were thinking of me. And
I think we grew up in a generation where we didn't have this commercialism so much, and we didn't have the resources. So everybody got one present, and you went and got your mom and dad a present. And you were given $5 to get mom a present and $5 to get dad a present. So this whole idea of abundance was not part of the Christmas. The idea of sitting down and opening the presents one at a time in a family and having some sausage rolls or having some beautiful Christmas dinner afterwards and playing games, that was the idea of Christmas.
It's
right, it was the time with family and friends and the people, whether that was the family you were born into, the family that you chose. It was about that.
Also abundance, like abundant joy, as opposed to abundance of things.
Well, when I think about abundance in my life, I don't think about how many things I have. I think about all the other things that give me abundance, like the beautiful friends I have, whether it's through my political stuff or my, just my disability advocate friends, or I mean, those are my family. Like, and the more I have of you, the more wealthy I feel, because you can't fill up your soul and your heart with cash. It doesn't lift you.
Yeah.
Nothing
Exactly.
lifts you more than being around other humans that you can connect with and love, right?
Yeah.
And like, I've got my tree lit in the background, and you've got your tree lit, Brent. And I know Christmas is also called, the Festival of Lights. Sometimes, and I said this last year too, but it's an opportunity for all of us to shine our lights. Like, every one of us has our light, right? Then, like Jeff was saying, like, we have to divorce ourselves of the idea that you're only important if you have a job.
Yes.
Because the fact of the matter is everybody, regardless of whether you have a job or not, everybody has a light to shine.
Yeah.
And that's what's important, is to shine your light, especially at this time of year. If somebody's struggling, shine your light, everybody shine your light, and make a difference that way.
Agreed.
I remember when I was young, my mom basically just bringing up my brother and me, and we were just so grateful of whatever was was under the tree, and just never taking things for granted. It was there. If it wasn't there, then you just take what was there, and having a Christmas meal, and just being around family. And I know that some people, they don't have family anymore, but just know that in your social networks, if you're on social media, I mean, know that you have other disability advocates that are out there, and we're here for you, right? I mean, reach out to us, and we're all connected one way or another. And in some cases, like, I mean, some people will have different angles on how they want to get to advocacy. On other people have other ways of advocacy. But at the same time, we all want to achieve the end goal is autonomy. Really,
I think we all agree more than we disagree.
I think so too.
I think so. We might have minor ideas about how to get to the destination, but we all agree on the destination, right? We all want.
I put up some posts this week about to Justin Trudeau, and let's get $500 out into pockets of 1.5 million people across Canada who are receiving less than poverty level. And some people were like, what's $500 going to do? And I kind of come back saying, well, you know what? It's
going to be a lot. It'll be a lot.
It's huge.
Bigger. It could be a 500. It could be 750. It could be 1,000. If anybody's receiving less than poverty, let's get that up. I don't care what that number. It's going to be different all across this country. And once we're up to poverty as a collective, then we can do some more advocating for that necessary disability expenses.
And I'll tell you, this is where Jeff and I sometimes disagree. But I mean, I understand where he's coming from. And I'll tell you, and it's not because I love everything that Jeff does. I really do.
Absolutely.
I just, the thing is I found, like, over my lifetime, I feel like we're always asking for just the bare minimum, hoping with that idea that, then we can work on them. But then they always stop. It takes us another 10 years, and then we're another 10 years behind. And so that's kind of why I've been about asking for more. I mean,
but having said that, though, Cassandra, I mean, let's talk about what we were talking about just before we launched the show about the updated MDM numbers, because I think that's important.
Jeff was correct, by the way, that I just went back and looked. Now, I was digging into it a bit further. That is for families, just so you know. So the living wage for Calgary for 2023 is $23.70, which works out to just over 49,000 annually. That's before tax income. And then, like I say, you subtract 30% for taxes and deductions, but then you add but then you add back 40% for the extra cost of living with a disability.
Yeah.
And which would bring you, slightly over 49. And if I remember correctly, if that's the family number, the way it works is the single person household numbers are only marginally lower, because once you got 2 or more people, the cost of buying for the household tends to be a little bit less, like it's easier. Yeah. So it's actually only a few thousand, difference, right? So it's, but you are correct. So it's
You're looking at
probably
anywhere from $2,500 to $3,000 a month is the uptake.
yeah. Yeah. I think so. We are close. Like just doing the living wage calculation. Like if I look at the living wage for a single person versus a family, it's only a few $1,000s difference, and it would probably bring you right to the 55,000 they're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it means everybody's drastically low. Now, even the highest one, Alberta, is drastically. They're 1,700 and something, drastically below 2,500. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because there was, I know when the market basket measure was designed, it wasn't even including the actual true cost of housing in that formula.
No,
As
they
we
said
know,
it
right?
was,
Oh, yeah, exactly.
but it didn't even cover the cost of rent in most of the places it was talking about. Yeah.
I know in BC, like, I don't know which provinces. Jeff, maybe you might know too. I think it's just BC. Is it just BC and Ontario that only have the shelter portion? I think.
I
I
don't
think
know. I'd have to look.
they don't, right?
Yeah.
They
So
should be
in,
abolishing that. They should just get rid of that name shelter.
well, it's done. Like for
secret.
instance, I was homeless recently, and I paid for a week of a hotel, and then they paid for, when they found out I was in a hotel and I was about to be living in my car in a day or two, Aish agreed to pay another 2 weeks of my hotel, and then I found a place, thankfully. But they still paid me my full, and it's in the legislation. They still paid me my full, because we don't have a shelter portion.
Yes.
We don't have that shelter portion. So they just paid me my full check, and that was an extra, and the pay for my hotel was an extra emergency benefit under
I think
extra
that's what
emergency.
we need to address here in BC,
Yeah.
even in Ontario, whoever else goes by this shelter portion. If you're not paying rent, then you're not getting that extra $500 a month or $375 or whatever it is. And that's ridiculous. If you're homeless, you get even less. That's just a kick in the pants.
Well, and I can attest, like I knew this already, but now I have very recent lived experience, and the cost, like what it cost me out of my pocket being homeless was exponentially more. And at before I was in that position, my rent was $1,000 a month, and I was barely getting by. And I thought, wow, I don't even know how people in other provinces make it. And then, but then when I actually was houseless and trying to figure things out, like even without what I paid out of my own pocket for, well, I had to borrow money to pay for a week of the hotel. Even without that, like what I was spending daily just to survive, like on trying to find food that I could prepare without a stove, and it was so much more expensive than actually being able. And I couldn't go to the food bank because I didn't have a fridge that I could store that stuff in.
Exactly. Yeah.
There was not, you know what I mean? So you're sitting there and it's so much more expensive. Like I couldn't, it was beyond what I even imagined.
And you know what's beyond me is the fact that the government doesn't understand how every single thing surrounding disability income support and addressing disabled citizens is so discriminatory. It's so based in discrimination. It's so based in oppression, control, discrimination, and self-serving. Every ministry seems to be self-serving. They're trying to justify their own work by making all these ridiculous groups and forms and rules that are just meant to dehumanize a disabled person.
Well,
Yeah.
here's another thought too. I was thinking about this morning. Is that I was just kind of thinking back of what Cassandra, what she had gone through, and I was talking to one of my neighbors, just recently, who knew the other two neighbors who had just moved to Winnipeg, and I had them on just the last show before, right? And what they've gone through, and what I found out is if they had become homeless, like they had to move because of health reasons, and also economically, they couldn't find anywhere cheap enough for themselves and their new added member of the family. And I still congratulate them on that, to Jason and Stephanie, and awesome. She's really growing tall. I mean, wow. I mean, when she was born. But I mean, getting to kind of that little scenario is, if they didn't have their shelter portion, I mean, like the what you have just gone through, Cassandra, is like, now here's your base amount. Well, now landlords are now looking at it, going, so they go and look for a place. Oh, what is your rent? What is your amount? Well, this is what I get. But if you give me accommodation, the government's now going to give me my shelter portion back. So now it puts a little red flag to landlords, going, oh, is that all they're giving you for shelter? So how are you going to pay your rent? Now it gets them asking too many questions, going, oh, so you're going to use the support portion. See, and
and the other thing is, like, so like, I have an extra diet allowance, which brings my monthly income to $19.39 a month, because I'm celiac and I have other diet restrictions.
Right.
But we have the direct rent subsidy, which is money that goes directly to you, to help pay rent. And so I was approved, like, I was marked eligible, but there's a waiting list to even get it.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm looking at places, well, if I had it and I could prove that I had it, or that I was going to get it, then there was places that were accessible to me, because that was most of my battle, is finding something that was both affordable and accessible. The cheapest 1-bedroom apartment that had an elevator, that didn't have stairs and stuff like that, that was accessible to me, was like, it was over $1,600 a month.
Oh.
But they were ranging between $1,650 and $2,300 a month, for something that I could, for a 1-bedroom apartment that was accessible. But I was doing the calculations, like, even for the minimum, if I could have afforded that $1,650 or even $1,700, which with this direct rent subsidy I could have, I would, because based on what I was paying rent before, and what my budget had been, I would have been able to actually, I would have had more options to me too. There would have been more suites I could have looked at. And they were actually refusing to move me. If I didn't have they were refusing to pay for my moving costs if I didn't have a suite that was accessible.
Yeah, and that's how BC's changed their moving supplement now. They've changed the language in it, where your rent has to be substantially reduced. Get that, Jeff? And
in what planet?
Reduced. Like, really, where in Canada is your rent substantially reduced?
Rents are astronomically higher than they've ever been. How are you? Yeah, I know.
I looked at that. I was just curious one day, and because we were looking through all the different subsidy amount and things, and I thought, who the hell rewrote substantially reduced? I thought, in what planet? In Canada? Come on.
Well, the other thing is, if you think, if you're looking at an apartment, that's vacant, well, the minute that person moved out in BC, they can raise the rents whatever they want. So you're not going to find something that's substantially reduced.
My next door neighbor has a notice on their door, and it was just there a little bit of tape that was hanging on there. It fell on the floor, and I thought, a piece of paper. So it was half open. It was there. So I'm like, well, what is this? I didn't even realize it was from there. I thought somebody dropped it. So I looked at it. Oh, 10 day notice for eviction, failing to pay rent, outstanding rent, 1307. It said. The first thing I thought was, oh my God. And I thought, you know, and I saw the management. I saw the management, and I said, "Oh, just so you know, I actually taped it on there. I got some Scotch tape. I taped it on the door. Oh, thanks." And I thought, yeah, they're just seeing dollar signs because they want that person out. Because you know the unit's going to go for $1,750. Actually, no, wait a minute. No, they have a 2-bedroom. It's over 2,000.
Yeah.
$2,200.
Yeah, here.
Folks.
I almost dropped an F-bomb. Oops.
From
What
13.
was that thing?
But
Yeah, there's a thing. There's an app you can get called Home Connect, which I used, and it shows you like the rents around here in Victoria or wherever you are. And the one over by, like, for instance, there was a save on Pandora Street with me and Brent met in once, and the rents above that thing are 2,000. That's kind of the average in Victoria.
Yeah.
What's funny, of course, is, you know, people know about, because I did the talk about what happened with me and my late loved one. And I was like, we've been here for, well, I've been here for about almost 10 years or 7 years in this location. And I originally lived across the hall in a bachelor. If I moved out of here and tried to move into that bachelor, the bachelor would cost far more than here.
Oh,
Because that's now been switched over to somebody, because I think they got evicted or something. So, and this place, once I moved out, would go from where it is to wherever they want it to be.
Well, here's a number that's going to blow all of your minds. I found out what the rent is next door, and it was subletted off the original tenant. Now the tenant didn't want to live there anymore, so he actually got the unit, a 2-bedroom one. And apparently it's, I haven't seen it, but there's ladies that live across the hall from there. They've seen it years ago. I guess he must have shown them something, but identical unit. And they said it's immaculate. I go, really? Oh yeah, nice hardwood floors and everything. Now, I'm glad you're all sitting down. How much do you think the rent is going for? And then I'll tell you the real answer. What do you think the rent's going for?
2,300.
Yeah.
No. Well, no. Like he got a notice saying that the rent outstanding owing is 1,307. So he didn't pay the full amount. The actual rent that he is paying there is $920 for a 2-bedroom apartment. So management right now is actually really hoping that he doesn't that he does not comply to that 10-day notice of eviction.
My mom,
$2,200. I mean, they're going to be cracking open the champagne and probably saying, "Hey, you guys, you want some?"
That's like my mom. She's paying just over 900, and she's been living in the same. It's a big 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
We're living in the same place for 35 years.
Well,
exactly.
The sad part is, though, is that that's under this management company, though. Yeah. And outside of this management company, I've seen some of the ads are like 27, 28, 29, like 3,000. I'm going, wow.
Yeah.
And here's the kicker. A lot of these management companies are now requiring tenants to have tenant insurance before they'll even rent to you. Yeah. If you don't have it, they'll
Your
say.
Your thoughts, Jeff?
Yeah, your thoughts.
My thoughts. I was hoping Tom's going to do a carol for us.
Is that what? Well, you looked like you wanted to say something, and I'm like, because I've been watching your facial expressions. That was it.
I have to do. There's one that I have to do, and maybe Neil can help me with it. I'll have a blue Christmas without you.
Without Derb.
It's so blue thinking about you.
Got that Elvis thing going on a blue Christmas tree.
Won't be the same, dear. You're not here with me.
In the blue snowflakes start falling.
I don't remember all the words.
I'll just
when my memories start.
I'll be doing
all right
with your
Christmas so white, but I'll have a blue Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, have a dark Christmas.
We have MJ. We have MJ joining us now.
Hi,
Oh,
MJ.
I wanted
he
to
was
ask.
he was in chat and he says, I really want to be on the show. So I said, hey.
Yay.
Oh,
I wanted to
yeah.
ask. I wanted to ask Jeff a question.
Yep. What's up?
Sure.
I don't know when you're starting your tours again.
Mm.
But I was gonna say, like, if you want to do something in Calgary, I will help, because I know you had some, because we have these rules around you have to get permits and stuff.
Mhm.
I can help with that, and
Thank
I
you.
would be happy to help organize something like that with
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you. I'm going to do one every summer for Western Canada. I'm still working on funding for Eastern Canada.
Yeah.
But I can fund with my GoFundMe and my own money. I can usually fund the Western Canada tour. Last time I was in Calgary, I had a wonderful time right by the law courts. Beautiful, beautiful place. Yeah, so I had a great time. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I'll let you know, because I really like to have people there join me. When I was in Winnipeg, I had people join me down at the spot, and we had such a wonderful time.
Mhm.
And I know lots of disability advocates right here in Calgary, and even some in Edmonton that might come, and the
Good.
Raging Grannies. And
Good.
Oh,
We'll
yes.
get a little more organized for next time. Hey, MJ, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I mean, I was listening to the conversation. I'm like,
oh,
no,
I know.
Yeah.
this is the conversation I want to be part of.
Oh, yeah.
I know why.
Your cat is doing much better.
She seems to be doing much better. I don't want to derail the program about that, but
Yeah.
yes, the conversation about this whole thing where they have in BC, we have the shelter portion, whereas
Yeah.
other provinces don't have a shelter portion, was something that was just like really sitting here going like, wait a minute, why would they do that? And I think it's more of a power trip and control thing that they do, is where I was thinking of while I was sitting here relaxing, looking at all this. I'm like,
this is why, what do you call it? What did I say before?
Self-serving.
Self-serving. It's a self-serving, ridiculous notion that we have to. This is why we need disability and support, because we do this, we do that. It's adding up the little. It's stupid. It's ridiculous.
Well, here's a little blurb on that too. Is I remember once upon a time, one landlord I rented from and actually asked me, Jeff, and said, "Why the hell?" And this is the words. Why the hell? And I don't mean to swear. But it's saying, is the government giving a shelter portion that rents are so high? And that was when rents were starting to slowly go up, right? Why are they not making sure that you just get one check and then take the word shelter out of it and call it PWD benefits or whatever it may be? And because they said seniors get that, they don't get a shelter portion. I mean,
that's our goal. That's something we brought up with Sheila Malcolmson.
Yeah.
And Sam.
Well,
Like,
and in Alberta, like, I could pay
Yeah.
if I was paying $100, I could pay $1 a month for rent.
Yeah.
I would still get the same amount.
Yeah.
As long as you know what I mean? Like, they don't.
well,
But
exactly. It's like, if I may, for myself, I mean, I had set my rent already to $500. So when they raised it from $375, I automatically was covered all the way up to the $500.
Yeah.
So when they raise it again, I'm going to, exactly how generous. I'm going to have to go and have my mom pay the rate, for the rent to go up, so we can keep playing their stupid game, and that's really retarded.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's on the paperwork that they sent, and you had to. It was all like mumbo jumbo, like it wasn't straightforward. It was like, why?
I haven't read that yet. Have you read that?
Oh, I do have the form somewhere. I'll have to. I think we still have that. I'll show
I'll
it
have
to
to
you.
read that. I wanted to read that this week sometime that he sent.
Yeah.
But the other thing was we brought that up with the ministry to get rid of that. We also brought up the codependent bullshit. Each person with a disability is an individual, and there's no need for
Yes.
codependent bullshit.
I agree.
So,
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say something.
discriminatory.
I was going to say something sarcastic, but I've said before too. It's like I was told by the Human Rights Tribunal that as long as the discrimination is equally applied,
Yeah.
as long as it's equally applied, it's no longer discrimination.
Oh,
But it's not equally applied.
Unicorn.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay.
Well, I'm going to go back to the charter thing though. That's why, like, in that particular case, like, if you had asked me, I would have said, don't even go to the human rights. You need to do a charter challenge, because it's really a charter breach. It's not a human right under human rights. It's actually under the charter, and you'd have a much more effective, because human rights legislation, like, it's divided up between whose jurisdiction it is, whether you go to a provincial human rights or a federal human rights. And then it varies from province to province, and then it's even and then it's restricted in what it can, like, it's restricted on what it can do. It doesn't do all things. There's things in there that are under the charter, but it doesn't do all things under the charter, and it just is, yeah.
And on that note, I'm actively seeking legal counsel for class action, both provincially and federally. And when I'm saying actively seeking, I've talked to over 120 law firms so far, and I'm keeping this up until we find the law firms. They're going to take it on each on a provincial level and on a federal.
You know
level.
who to go to? You know, I'm going to say this, and this is who I've been wanting to reach out to. I think the law firm to reach out to is the lawyers that did the Bedford versus Canada.
Okay, got it.
Here's a put I'll throw out there. The lawyer told me not to talk to you.
Yeah. Bedford versus Canada lawyers. Those, I would go to them, because they, in fact, I think that our charter challenge, like that particular case, made a breakthrough that has implications for all kinds of people, and it's about the law. It was about the legislation itself creating the conditions that.
That's what we need. We need people who are adventurous and want a little bit of glory in TV and that kind of stuff, because we need someone to challenge the whole idea.
I mean, and I always say, just because you went to school and got a law degree doesn't mean that you're necessarily good at it or want to do the work. You know what I mean?
One of the things that I've found with all of this is, when I've actually read the provincial legislation for welfare and disability, and it is the most opaque document that I've ever read, that leaves no direction on how to create the benefit programs for welfare and disability in British Columbia. It basically says the minister shall have the right to go and do ta-da.
Well, I find that in a lot, and our legislation is like this new UCP government. I mean, I call them the Frankenstein Party, and I'm going to keep calling them that, because they're made up of a whole bunch of different parties that don't really fit together. First Kenny, then Kenny made the Frankenstein Party. Danielle took it over. But they made some legislation that made it easier for them to make changes to regulations and legislation without it going through the legislature for debate. They can just do these ministerial orders and change.
Well, that's how our system is operating in British Columbia right now. And I'm one of these people that I am absolutely against that type of thinking, where you can just give the ministers carte blanche to go and do whatever they want.
Well, that's because you're a true libertarian.
Well, I mean, I'm a true libertarian, but I am a humanist, right? I mean, I believe that human rights should be, paramount.
Well, I think, but you're not. I mean, most people think of libertarianism. It's gotten a bad rap these days because of right-wing libertarianism, but I wouldn't call you necessarily a right-wing libertarian.
No, there's Philippe von Parijs, who's wrote the book Basic Income with Yannick Vanderbroek. I think he's a left libertarian as well. That's what he's self-described as. So
which is about human rights and making sure everybody has equity and I mean, I've got a premier that calls herself a libertarian and says she likes small government, but she's got the most overbloated government in the history of Alberta.
I got some fun words for that, but let's get those.
We'll do that on another show.
Let's go to another song.
I'm with MJ on this, for the fact that disability income support should be taken out of the government's ability to set it. It should be 40%. It should be a certain amount above poverty level, whether that be poverty level. and that
Yeah.
should automatically be changed every time poverty level,
With
every
inflation. Yeah, right.
So-
Indexed to inflation.
The
Which
politicians
is
don't have the ability to say what it is. It's part of
You see, here's
well,
my-
it written into the like we wanted it written into the charter.
yes.
We
yes.
wanted when we did that when that original petition went out, it was to be the idea was for it to be a piece of legislation that was enshrined in the charter
As it
so
should be.
that nobody could take that away from us.
Absolutely.
Oh, show it on the screen. Show it on. Bring it behind me. Bring it behind me.
Hey
Here we
Tom,
go.
what are you singing?
Sonia brought this.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, Sonia,
Sonia, hi to you.
come say hi.
Sonia for a sec. Come on in here. Come on in here.
I'll get my Christmas lights on.
Jolly.
Get my Christmas lights going
Hey.
here.
But here's
La 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 la.
Throw the ice in your tiger.
La la la.
Yay!
Yeah, there's a latency thing where it's like I gotta like let everyone catch up and then keep going.
We
Yeah.
I love the lights; those are great.
very nice, Brent.
I was looking at
My
my
Yeah.
LED lights are
like,
here.
Sonia brought them over.
nice.
I thought I saw something shining when I was talking to you. I think something in the corner of my eye. I'm like, what is reflecting? And it was this. I'm like, what the-
Yeah.
We should have
Here's an idea for you.
a cross-country Zoom for 1.5 million disabled Canadians on Christmas Day.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Anybody and everybody can log in, and we can have a nice little hello, Merry Christmas.
And sing some Christmas carols. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll be over
That
at
would be
my
great.
sister's place, but yeah.
We didn't need to buy that other one.
I'll bring it over.
They can come too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll zoom in.
No, I
Why
can
not?
always like
We
I can
we
put
like
Zoom on my phone
allies.
and do it that way.
Yes, yeah, I was thinking phone too. Anybody can do it. Nice, Brent.
Yeah,
You know-
nice.
Santa Claus.
There.
You don't know one of the things.
Yeah,
that I
yeah,
like
it
about
feels
this?
kind of like a Charlie Brown Christmas over there now.
Yeah,
That's fine.
But you know what I love about this show is we all come from our different ideas and beliefs and our political perspectives and all the rest of this stuff. But we put all of that aside for this one issue. This
Yeah.
one issue that we feel is so important to be talked about and dealt with.
Well, this isn't.
It's not
Well, I was going to say it's not a partisan issue, but I want to clarify because the definition of partisan is to be loyal to an organization or even a cause. So we are partisan.
Yes.
we're partisan in our desire to make help people with disabilities have the same equity as people with.
There we are.
Well, I
Very
want
nice,
everyone to
Brad,
have
very
the
good.
same equal opportunity. You know, and that's where I came up with the idea of universally available basic income.
Yeah.
Because no games, no tests. You just say yes, I want it, or no, I don't, and there you go. There's no
Yeah.
games, and that's the easiest solution that I could find. Is after all the thinking that I've had for this, and it's like even with senior citizens that aren't even part of this, they're still affected by this because a lot of people go from disability to CPP disability, and then they
Right.
get run the rigmarole over there. Oh, you might not be disabled enough to get this disability. So it's like, to me, all of these ideas, we just need to go back to the drawing board and say, how can we go and do this as simply as possible without finding rhyme or reason to divide or segregate or disqualify or say, no, I'm sorry, you're not good enough, or you're not this, you don't meet these qualifications. Those ideas
Or
need to
clawbacks.
do an end.
And
They
We are
all
having
We need-
claw back.
we need
on
to
it.
pun- yeah.
and I was thinking about this, MJ, Brent Neal had a fellow from every Canadian Counts on talking about what they had done in Australia. They've been trying to get it done here is this disability insurance plan or whatever. And basically it's everybody pays into it. Everybody. Like just like you pay for your CPP or whatever, and it creates this fund. And then if you need anything for your disability, right? Like anything that is
I can do it this way.
requirement, like whether it's assistive technology or like whatever, it's just paid for. No questions, no means testing, no questions asked. That's it. And I think that would be a perfect complement to solve the issues when you're looking at the issues around, okay, income versus the cost of living with a disability, if you had a universally available basic income along with this disability insurance plan idea, I think that would be a great solution. I mean, we'd probably find more holes along the way, but you know, I think it would fill a lot of the gaps that we often talk about, you know.
Yeah.
Well, the
You
funding
mean I-
mechanism of that.
You mean I
reminds
get a
me of-
whole wheelchair out of it?
Yeah, the funding
might-
mechanism of,
Yeah.
of that reminds me of like the sovereign wealth fund idea, which is, I mean, Guy Stanley. I was listening to him again last night because I do, but like Norway, like it's like if you want income security, marry a Norwegian, because it's like every Norwegian is technically a millionaire because they created the sovereign wealth fund off of North Sea oil, I think it was. And so
yeah.
every Norwegian is technically a millionaire. So what you can do, Guy's version is Commons Capital Fund. There's also the Alaska Permanent Fund, which has that dividend attached to it, which is kind of the closest thing in the world to a basic income, but or one of them. But like that's one way you can build it up. And then what Norway does is they then take the money and I don't know if they leave the principal and then take the interest and use that to invest in other things, which then build the fund up more. So you can find all these different funding sources, and it can do basic incomes. It can do an emergency disability thing. It can do all these things.
Well,
And you just keep
yeah,
building it and building it.
Totally.
and
You know,
it's very similar to Australia's disability insurance plan, except that it's more broader, right?
Yeah.
Well, see, the idea with this is, you know, what I was thinking of is, you know, we'd give people, you know, people would have the ability to pay for insurance, or, you know, if we could fix the healthcare system. You know, I'm sure. I do have a solution.
Do you
but
live in
this is-
Alberta?
I have an insane solution, but it's not part of the program today. It's a different talking point. How about that? You know, this is where, you know, we have all these resources in the ground. We have the governments now fighting against saying, oh, we want to go and become this or that and all the rest of this stuff. But yet we still have these resources. And for everything that we do and we need, take a look around your house. How much of your products still run with oil or made from plastic that require oil? So we still have these resources that are still going to need to come out of the ground.
There are replacements, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know, I'll get to that. But the point is it's the same idea of what Norway is doing. Is they go and have a large resource fee on the extraction of that oil, or the extraction of that natural gas, or the extraction of that coal, or those diamonds that De Beers holds in those long tunnels that they keep hidden to elevate the price of diamonds. It's like, sure, you can take them out of the ground, you can go and put them away for 50 years, but you're still paying for that diamond now, right?
Yeah.
This is what we need, a wealth fund that goes and works to go and find ways to create wealth instead of ways of extracting wealth out of everybody.
Yeah.
This is what
Well,
we have.
exactly. And you know, it's so funny because whenever we talk about raising, because our royalties have gotten less and less under successive governments. I mean, we used to get, I think, 30%. Now we get 5% from. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And these are our, like in Alberta, they're Alberta resources, and the governments, especially the previous PCs, and now their argument is that, well, then nobody will come and invest here. And it's like, well, how did Norway do it then? How did do you know what I mean? Like there's other jurisdictions, not even just Norway. I can't think off the top of my head that are getting almost full price for their royalty, you know, for their resources, like in royalty wise, like they're not, you know, and they're not having any issues with any of this. Right, like that's what our heritage fund was supposed to be about, and yeah.
But well, here's a question for Jeff and Tom. Want to get your view on this? How about the politicians right now? Every April, they automatically, and you can also chime in too, MJ and Cassandra too on this. The politicians automatically, they don't have to vote on it. They don't have to pass legislation. They get COLA every April. Now, how about that gets put onto PWD's income? COLA, meaning people may be wondering, well, what is he talking about? Cost of living adjustment.
Here's the
Yeah, give away their cost of
Jeff.
living adjustment to
Yeah.
PWD. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing that
Jeff.
we have to really half of our fight, and even more than half of our fight collective as disability advocates, is to shift the mindset that we're asking for money that's going to come out of Canadians' pockets.
Yes.
That's
Oh.
the issue. We're asking for, we're not asking, we're demanding poverty level financial support, which is a base minimum. We're demanding coming up to poverty, no more underfunding. But half my argument is saying it doesn't have to come from anybody earning under $220,000 a year.
Right. Yeah.
That's the key
No.
argument. It doesn't have to come from a single person earning under $220,000 a year. 220,000 is the cutoff for where the taxes don't change, and it's ridiculous. If you're owning 500,000, 1.2 million, 9 million, you're in the same tax credit.
Yeah.
In the same tax bracket, and that's not right.
What
Yeah.
I was looking at is the idea of getting rid of the current tax code because, well, one is convoluted, costs too much money, and three, three, we have a lot of people that I've heard stories from other people that work at the CRA that just do nothing. So, my idea was a flat tax. We're gonna have. I was gonna go start it off at 10%, for under 100,000, and then over 100,000, it goes to 15%. Yeah. No tax breaks, no tax credits, no tax deductions, no tax breaks in any way, shape, or form.
No
but
tax loops. No tax.
Yeah, just a flat tax instead of all this complicated.
Right. And everyone gets the first $15,000 of their income considered tax free, right? That by the math that I've done covers most, if not all, of the tax deductions that you would normally be able to get in the current system. So that gives the tax credits of that tax break of $15,000 to everyone equally, right? Now, and if we can get the provinces on board, they could go with either 5% or 7%, 7.5%, and do the same thing, get rid of all these tax breaks. See, the problem we have is we have too much administration trying to go and figure out who deserves what and needs what.
Yeah.
When
right.
I'm not against. Okay, I'm not against workers. And I'm not against people being employed. But what I'm against is the people that are employed that are there that just go and are just churning papers to go and have an existence. That's a very miserable one for many of them, believe it or not.
Oh, I know.
And a lot of them don't like it, but it's a job. And my thing is, sure, they could go and we'll pay. I'd be willing to pay out their entire contract. But if they have a 3 or 5 year contract with the union, I'd be willing to pay out the whole salary whatsoever. Because, hey, I'm an honest guy. I believe that we've made a deal, and a deal is a deal is a deal. It's just my Ferengi thing.
Well, but I'd like to take, even what Jeff said and what you're saying, MG, one step further, because, when I think about this, this idea about that people on disability don't pay taxes. I pay, and I write this anytime I'm writing correspondence, and I don't do it, or if sometimes I can't type, so I'm on the phone. I constantly remind them before I get into my ask for disability that involves money. I always say I have paid taxes my entire working life until some drunk driver hit me and totaled me. But I paid my taxes. I paid into the program that I'm accessing. I never mind paying for it, because if the God forbid happened, and now the God forbid did happen, but the fact is the benefits that I'm accessing, I paid for them already. I paid them throughout my life, paying taxes, and then I needed them. And I should be able to access them without being.
And you're still paying tax, so.
And I'm still paying taxes on all sorts of things, whether it's my gas. We don't have provincial tax, but there's all kinds of hidden provincial taxes on gas and other things that I'm paying out of pocket for. And
I gotta run, guys. I wish you all the best.
Well,
Jeff, before Christmas.
Jeff,
okay, reach out to me. We need to talk about the future.
Do you have any last words though, Jeff, before you go?
Last words, if you're suffering, if you're depressed, if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling despondent, and you're suffering in government imposed poverty, reach out. Send me a message, send Brent a message, send Cassandra a message, send any of us a message. go to your food banks, go to your churches, make a wish list, go on socials. You are loved. I wish you a wonderful Merry Christmas, everybody.
And we love you,
Merry
Jeff.
Christmas.
Good, Jeff.
Thanks,
And
Jeff.
here's
God
a
bless.
little song for you, Jeff, on before you depart here.
Lord Jesus laid down his sweet
Sweet
hand.
hand,
Stars in the sky,
they
yeah, Jeff.
lay the little
Jeff.
Lord
Merry Christmas.
Jesus asleep in the hay. The cattle were lowing, the baby wakes. The little Lord Jesus, no crying he makes. Sorry, I used to sing this to my daughter when she
Oh,
was
nice.
as a lullaby.
I love the song. It's a great song.
Oh,
Here we go.
How about
Bust
Hark
you
the
up
Herald?
with my operatic
Herald.
version. Sorry.
You have that one?
well,
Yeah, here it is.
I could sing if you really
That
want.
was
This
an
is
easy one.
this one jumps down.
Twas the night before Christmas.
Herald angels
Just
sing,
sing glory
glory
to
to
the newborn King.
Peace
Peace on earth and mercy mild.
God
Sing-
sings
I can't remember.
Holy nations rise. Glorify the skies.
Christ is
To the newborn King. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Where is it?
I ended up. Sorry. It's great when we're all singing the same lyrics. No, sorry.
La 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 la.
Yeah, like what was it? Hugh Grant and in the what was it? Bridget Jones' Diary. Yeah.
Or what I would do
What's
in
his
choir class, right? I would stand behind all these people who are tall. I'd be, is Brent singing? I'm like,
Yeah. Or yeah, Mr. Bean. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Is that nice over there?
I'm actually
Yeah.
losing my voice because that cold. I'm still got
Oh, I'm sorry.
crap in my lungs from that flu I had
Oh,
a month and a half ago.
Layer yourself with Vicks Vapor Rub.
I can't afford it.
A nice painting.
Should I put that on my
You're
wish
not
list? I'll
full.
put it on my Amazon wish list and tweet it out, I guess.
It's I think you can get some at Dollarama for a little cheaper.
Mr. Bean, when you said, here's that painting. Oh, that's a nice painting. Look at that. Oh no. Yeah, if the politicians were to eliminate all these other programs, like as much as people love getting, like, say, a GST tax credit and all these things, if they were to eliminate all these other these bureaucratic programs and just put a UABA, whatever, an adequate one based on like a livable
People
would have so much more, because it's like they're paying all this GST, and then, oh, here you go, as Sonia would always say, pittance, here's a little bit of pittance back every quarterly payments. Well, how much GST are you paying in? I remember decades ago, and then who was the prime minister? Oh, I know, John Chrétien.
No, it was Brian Mulroney that brought it in.
I will get rid of the GST. When? I
have to say something, because everybody likes to get on the GST, but I'll tell you something. When they first brought it in, they had calculated a certain amount of revenue, and what they realized once it was in is it was so much more than they ever expected. But that not only allowed us to have one of the largest surpluses in Canadian history, it also provided a lot of money for a lot of programs. Then, and when Harper came in, he reduced it by just 2 points. And that was a big part of what caused his government to spend through the largest surplus in Canadian history into the largest deficit, and they were cutting back programs and they were cutting back everything and selling off assets, Canadian assets that had been ours since before Confederation, and they still could not meet what they lost. I mean, some of it was lining their friends' pockets. Let's not be clear.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. But that 2%, that's why when Trudeau got in after Harper, I mean, there's nothing that you can do to make up that 2%. Like, that was a lot of revenue on its own. So I'm not, I get nobody likes taxes, like nobody likes them, but that revenue can support a lot of programs. I mean, it can, things like disability, like an increased disability benefit, like universally available basic income, things like that. So I mean, I don't think necessarily everything you don't necessarily have to throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like not to put the big Yang Gang hat on or anything, but it's basically a VAT. It's a Canadian VAT, which is what Yang talked about using in the States to power his freedom dividend.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
because it goes after every single
with
thing.
The idea, with the idea of the taxes, a tax idea that I have with a flat tax with no deductions, no tax credits.
Yeah,
people would actually be paying a little bit more in income tax than they currently are, right? However, that means that in order to go and say, to me, I look at this, we're making an ask of people to pay more taxes. We're going to have to go and get rid of the other taxes on the other side, which are all the hidden taxes, the excise taxes, and all these goofy taxes, which raise the cost of everything up. Subtly, people don't realize how much the GST raises the cost of a product up, right?
I do. I look at it.
Right.
I actually can't. But you know what? It's minimal. Like, I moved from, just as an example, like I mean, BC has a provincial sales tax that's hovers around the same as the GST. And I moved from Alberta, from BC to Alberta. And I honestly barely noticed the difference in the things I was buying. Like, it was like when I was buying, I barely noticed a difference. Like, there was not, it wasn't like this huge, I would argue, for what it actually is compared to the revenue it creates, it's actually, I think, I like your idea, MJ, don't get me wrong. I think, but I would think if there was one tax aside from, like, if we were going to keep one tax aside from and get rid of all the other ones, I would say that would be the one that aside from what you're doing, on top of what you're doing, if we kept one tax, that would be the one I would keep, just because of how lucrative it is.
Tax.
I only have my sales tax I get rid of the GST and I go to a health and safety tax, which basically cigarettes, alcohol, junk food, processed foods, those are the things that get taxed, because if you're going and adding excess amount of sugar, salt, and fat into your products, like tobacco, obviously,
that's a good idea.
Right?
That would be lovely.
Right? A bag of chips could go from $3.99 at the grocery store to $7.99 because of the tax. Now, that alone might make the companies go, we need to fix what we're doing. But at the same time, we need to go and be sure that they're not trying to replace it with some other salty chemical that can cause cancer and kill people, right? So this is where, in all ideas, we have to go and ensure that we're keeping Canadians safe and healthy. This is where, when I look at the European and British food standards, they have much higher food standards than we do in the West, right? And that's one of the big things that we should also be looking at, is that'll also lower our costs for healthcare. It'll also go and lower the costs, for people needing medication, because you're eating garbage substandard foods that meets a lower quality standard that is able to be sold because the government says it's okay, right? And this is, where, when it comes to
you can trust us.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So
like MJ, like in British Columbia, like, as we got the PST here at 7%, and then the GST is 5%. and then all the hidden tax that are, so when somebody goes to the fill up at the pump, they've got GST, and they charge GST, like the hidden GST on top of the GST.
And the excise taxes.
Got the excise tax.
Yeah.
You got 2 or 3 road excise taxes on the gas, then you have the carbon tax on top of that, then you have the price of the tank, then you have the GST on top of all of that.
Oh, and then the TransLink tax too on top of that too.
Oh, you guys get that. That's part of your hidden tax in the Lower Mainland.
Yeah.
And Vancouver Island or Victoria area has theirs as well, which is a different tax.
Right.
Yeah. And it baffles me because like I can look across the road 172.9 right now. And I look at that and I'm thinking, wow, how much of that is in tax? A lot of it.
Here, let me pull up the price where I'm at.
Another good app for gas is Gas Buddy for
Gas
Oh,
Buddy.
I use that all the time.
Yeah.
I got my I filled up at $1.15 yesterday.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Well, here's the
That's-
part.
we
really
have like
baffles-
2 really good ones I now go to.
but Tom, here's the part really baffles me is like Sonia's mom and dad, they'll come by the odd time to visit, or more her mom than her dad. In Nanaimo, their price, she was like, "What? Why is it so much more in Victoria?" And it was like $1.63, and here's $1.72. It's like what?
Well,
I don't-
it's like if I go to Edmonton, it's
don't
like
think it's a shipping
it's
rate
5
or
to
if
10
it's,
cents cheaper
HL.
than it is in Calgary. Yeah.
See, this is the problem we have is we have all these hidden taxes.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the things that I really am against is hidden taxes.
Yeah, I
believe
agree.
I believe that your receipt should go and say, your gas price is 89 cents, and we're adding 57 cents in tax for this, and another 60 cents for tax for this, and another 20 cents for this, and here's what you're paying for your gasoline. Have a
And
nice
that's
day.
that's another reason why I said, ironically, if there was one tax, I would agree. If we got rid of all the other, that would be because the GST is a transparent tax. You actually know and can look on your receipt and you can see exactly what you paid. If you're so inclined. I don't think most people do, but you know what I mean? Like I agree with you. Transparency is
like listing
ultimately
for all the taxes. People were like, what? Imagine
and it would eliminate the ability of certain politicians to make hay about what you're actually paying for taxes and make and give misinformation, because you would be able to actually look and see what you're paying.
Here's all the 10 taxes you're paying.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
this is where, this is where I always feel like, I feel very politically homeless because no one seems to want to go and actually take the bull by the head and say, you know what, enough is enough of this nonsense. I'm trying not to swear as much as possible here.
We feel you.
Because it's like, well, if you want, I really don't want to say what I like. No, it's a recorded podcast, Brent. We can't have you suspended about that. I'm being careful. You're right, Cassandra. That way, it would destroy their ability to say, "Oh, we're going to do this," and it'd be like people like, "We already have this tax. What are you talking about, you loser? You're lying to us."
I know the amount of effort. Like, we're actually in Alberta. We've got 2 organizations that are like nonpartisan, with people, and some of the people that are in them are partisan, but they're from all different kinds of partisan organizations coming together because they're sick of the misinformation and they're so we were having to organize nonpartisan or multi-partisan groups to dispel the misinformation that's being put out, and the effort and energy that goes into this kind of volunteerism, just trying to give people the facts and wade through the mud all the time. I mean, it's exhausting, and we shouldn't have to do it. There should be ways just to be able to keep them account. Like,
MJ, like it's so frustrating, right? Because it's like you see these tax dollars just getting flushed with, like, there's no accountability, like not listing where people are paying all this tax. And and it's just like, I know I read about this, I hear on the news, and I'm just like, it doesn't make sense. Like, why are they doing it backwards? And it's like saying to like, and I totally agree. Like, people, they need help right now. They're struggling across the nation. Go to churches, get food from their food banks. They're really hurting so bad right now. They are so underfunded. Because of, well, when I say underfunded, because people don't have the resources to help the food banks out, to give to the people. But if government was just a gift to give to the people, and cut the tax down, people are going to have more resources to buy the healthy food that they need, and they don't have to rely on food banks. And
exactly.
And get rid of the grocery oligopolies. Like we have an independent grocer here in there was an independent grocer here in Bowness where I just moved. It was called the Bonesian, been here for decades. They just went out of business. A lot of it is the cost. These big companies like Walmart and Loblaws, because they buy in such bulk, they actually drive they're getting these super reduced prices because of the volume they're able to buy in. And then these little independent grocers, when they're trying to buy to stock their shelves, they're having to make up the difference, and it's putting them, it's like what's been happening with the rental market and everything else. Like, it's the same kind of, and I have just, I've been banging this drum. I really want to stop the Walmart effect. I want to put Loblaws and Walmart out of business, out of the grocery business. I really do, because
it comes at us from both ways. It's like people's, like, when you're in one of these places, it's like you see how, like, the thing that's on sale is completely empty all the way to the back, and it's like because insecurity makes it so people have no choice. They're like, I can't go to the mom and pop store, like, Justin Trudeau a couple of years ago, go buy local. It's like, we can't, man. Nobody that makes enough money for that. And so everyone goes past the mom and pop store to the Walmart because they don't have any choice. And so
that's it.
It's like bringing incomes up and bringing that stuff down, and getting rid of the years, like, you've got incomes that have been stagnating since 71. You've got this neoliberal utilitarian stuff. It's like, that's what I have a problem with: utilitarianism and jobism. And then, like, Guy was talking about, like, there's this book called Nudge. I had to bring this up because he's like, it's like, if you have a bath, you got, like I do, then you should take it into the bath with you, because it'll keep the bath water hot. It'll raise your blood pressure, because it's that kind of utilitarian, like, nudging people to make the right choice. That kind of crap. Yeah. It's like, it's like we've got to steer the ship away from that. It's like I told Brent off the record, it's like, I just feel like these guys just have an attitude problem, because
I think we just need to legislate away the oligopolies. I think we can do it and start investing. All those tax breaks that they're getting for donating their excess food to food banks.
Yeah. Okay. Lobbying,
all that could be invested into community initiatives, like my urban agrihood that I want to create in the city of Calgary, like initiatives, like we've got all kinds of food programs that are based on pay what you want, pay what you can kind of idea, things like that. And small independent, like, we could be investing in small independent businesses and driving down costs so that more people could afford to actually keep them in business.
Well, when I did
just quickly,
the breaking with Brent one about the eggnog, just for instance, I got an independent grocer, like, literally, like, 1 minute walk, across the road. I remember Birdie. She could probably watch us. No, don't do that. Use the crosswalk. But there's no traffic, then I'm gonna walk across the road. No, it's unsafe. A blind guy walks across the road. No. I mean, come on. But I watch the traffic. But literally, when I did that segment, I was flabbergasted, because an independent grocer, you would think their price would be higher now, wouldn't you? I mean, because they can't buy by that quantity. I saw the 2-liter eggnog for $4.98. And so Sonia goes, well, I want to go to Save On Foods. I want to pick up some stuff. I said, okay. So we went down there. I said, I'm going to continue the footage. She goes, what? I go, yeah. So you should get the phone here, start recording. And I go to the cooler, and I'm like, and I'm looking for eggnog. And I knew I was already $4.98 at Urban. And when I went there, I was like, are you kidding me? Save On Foods? supposed to be save on food, it's supposed to be cheaper. And I thought, wow, Jimmy. First thing I thought was Jimmy Pattison. Seriously?
Yeah.
Like the
It's,
regular
well,
price?
it used to be
Walmart's
though.
like that too.
Yeah.
Walmart's
Walmart.
gone up.
It used to be like
What-
that, but
yeah.
now it's cheaper to go. It's actually cheaper to go to Safeway sometimes than it is to go to
Yeah.
Save On
But when I talked
or
to the
Walmart. Like
When
I
I
know.
talked to the
one of the, you know, when
there-
I was looking at running for city council and in my town, and one of the things I want to do was I want to go and start to encourage people to go and dig up part of their lawn to put in a garden.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
the other reason for that is because we're always on water scarcity notices all the time. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe, just maybe, if we could go and reduce the amount of lawn that has to be watered, we
Mm.
could go and get people to go into drip gardening and drip garden their gardens.
Aquaponics,
Yeah, that's another thing we can do is hydroponic, you know,
hydroponic
yeah,
uses
hydroponic,
almost no water. Yeah.
right? But the idea was by getting rid of 50% of lawns or 25% of lawns and people putting in lawns, all of a sudden we'd have this massive growth of food that's local. And it'd be like, and people say,
Yeah.
well, what am I going to do with it? Well, there's the farmer's market and then there's the food bank.
Yeah.
That was my
Well,
plan.
we
right?
in
It's almost,
Calgary.
it is almost like commenting, really.
No, but
It's
in
classic
Calgary,
style,
we
but
actually
yeah.
have 2 different organizations and what they do. So you can become a member and you pay a small amount per year, and you get like every time when they harvest, you get a certain amount of produce, right?
Right.
Whatever they
Yeah.
grow. But
Yeah.
they're also, you can also dedicate your lawn to them, and they will come. You can say, okay, I'll give you my lawn, and they come and they farm your lawn and have these independent farmers they hire, or not hire, but that work within the collective, and they grow whatever. They all grow different things, and then you get a percentage of whatever they grow for donating your lawn.
Yeah.
And then a lot, and
Yeah.
also, so one of the organizations is like a kind of a membership based organization, but the other one is one that actually does this, and it all goes to the food bank. It's a nonprofit.
Oh, wow.
And it all goes to food,
Yeah.
food banks and
Well,
food resources.
Right. My town's fairly religious. So I figured, you know what, if you're going to go and give 10% in tithe, you might as well tithe it to a good cause. The
Yeah.
tithe does not have to be money. It could be 10% of your goods that you have, which could be from your garden.
That's what we used to tide, right?
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
I mean, all I'm trying to do with my ideas is try to figure out a better way to go and help everyone out so we can have more food local instead of having to rush over to these.
That's why the agrihood,
monopolies.
like, I keep talking about this agrihood in Detroit. Single moms, bunch of single. They had much like we do in Calgary, they had underutilized city land or unused city, and they took a couple square blocks. They got the city to give, and they created an urban farm, an actual farm, and they got a greenhouse. And
wow.
originally the idea is they were just trying to fill. It was in one of the most impoverished communities in Detroit. And originally they just wanted to feed their community. Well, they accomplished that so well that they had excess. And so they started selling it to local businesses like restaurants and independent grocers.
Yeah.
And that's money that can then be reinvested in your community and in the farm. Now they've got like restaurants and shops, and I think they even might make their own cheese or something, right? And then they sell that, but then it's a tourist attraction. So
wow.
it's producing and it's an educational center teaching people how to grow food in their urban environment. And so, I looked at that and I thought, wow, like that is because it's called an urban agrihood because it's a neighborhood, and the community are the farmers, and they're farming it to provide for their communities, and it's not based on your ability or lack of ability or your socioeconomic status. It's just a whole of community event that's expanded and created all these other opportunities.
Well, like when we lived in Langley, they had this community garden, and there was, oh my gosh, there was 2 of them that I saw, and they were huge. Like, and the city actually organized it and actually put it in there for the communities. And people were planting like cucumbers. We had one of our neighbors came over and said, "Oh, I've got like 10 cucumbers. Would you like them?" 10 cucumbers. I mean, I love cucumbers.
Well,
10 of them.
you know, here's an interesting fact though. Like when I talk about urban farm, it's not just about the produce, because when you think about it, I know both in Vancouver and in Calgary, you can get a permit to have chickens in your backyard.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can get right, like, so you know, I mean, and here we've got it now. It has to be like a pet or something, but you can get a permit to have a freaking goat in your backyard if that's your personal, if that's going to be your pet or your personal support animal. You can get a permit for that. I mean, why can't we take that and use that to have a farm, like not just produce, like that's protein, that's milk, that's cheese, that's
can I plant some chicken nuggets?
Or you know what, or I could
because Cassandra, they want control. That's why they make it so difficult for us to do this.
Well, no, but they haven't. Like Calgary and Vancouver have actually made it easier for us to do that. It's just that somebody has to take the initiative to take these programs that they put out and put them into something like this.
Well, you know, Neil,
I need to bring the candy cane out because I know we're getting to the end of the show, Brent. So
and Neil, you know, I could go and collect the eggs, and I could go and make my own eggnog.
Yeah, it just reminds me of like David Bollier's work with the subject of the commons, which is like the ancient, like that which belongs to all and belongs to no one. It's also working in the commons. It's working for the community. It's like we were talking about before. It's not work and labor are not the same thing. Labor is like for a boss. Like imagine like getting tea for a boss versus taking care of a loved one. Which one's more important? I mean, you know, it's like, it's like, you know, where you can actually like.
Let me think about that.
Like I can't work on this all day. You know, my whatever, but hey, I want to help out with this and feed the community, and it's just really kind of wonderful in that way, you know.
I would love to do another segment, maybe closer to the end of the month. We have 2 slots that are open on the 28th and 29th. Nothing's been filled on those.
I can't do the 29th.
Okay, if we could do the 28th, because nothing's been filled in that. So if we could do the 28th, I'd love to do it.
I'm so happy to see MJ, by the way. I missed him.
Sonia has a question for you all. And Sonia has a question for you all. Maybe any of you know.
It's a cooking question. I don't know if anybody knows how to cook.
So they can see you, Sonia.
Okay, I'm trying to make Nanaimo bars.
Nice.
But I don't know how much 2/3 cup is.
2/3 of a cup.
Yeah.
2/3 of a cup. Just take a 1/3 and do fill the 1/3 twice.
But I don't have a 1/3.
What do you have?
What do you have?
I just have
what are you measuring with?
half a cup, a quarter cup.
A half a cup.
Wait a minute. I might have a third.
Okay. As soon as she comes back, but on the 28th.
I have an old cup measurement, but it's really faded, so you can't see it.
I mean, if you have 1 cup and you divide it into 3.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't do math.
She doesn't do math. Okay, I can do it. I can do math.
If you have a 1 cupper,
you divide it into 3, and it would be you fill it to the bottom. Part.
Line. Explain that to you again. Go. Listen up there, Sonia.
I don't get it.
Okay, so what are you trying to measure, Sonia?
She wants 2/3. So I was
saying
2/3 of a cup. Yeah.
So that's a cup divided into a cup divided into 3.
Into 3.
But you're only using two of those thirds.
What if you have a quarter of a cup?
I don't know how to do that with a quarter of a cup. That's how I do it.
Okay.
I wonder if anything with like shot glasses. You can like, that's a. I don't know.
a little bit of that.
That's just the way I do it. I eye it to about 1/3 of the 1 cup, and then.
If car A was traveling 75 miles an hour.
Oh yeah.
And car B.
I don't have a 2/3 cup.
Was traveling right.
Half a cup.
I should make you guys one because I have one that's faded. It is a cup measurement, but all the measurements have faded, and I have the other one which has it, so I could go like 1/3, half, 2/3.
What I usually do is
right. That's
half a
cup. A little bit more.
I would say half a cup and a little bit more. A little bit of that.
Okay.
Tiny
my
bit
mom
more.
used to do, and I'd say, well, how do you measure that? She goes, oh, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I go, that's off measured. She goes,
By
So-
eye, yeah.
Yeah.
I already screwed up the first part. I cracked my egg in the pan and I got an eggshell in it, so I couldn't find the eggshell.
extra crunchy.
So I had to
extra
start
crunchy.
over.
Yeah,
Maybe
Dan,
bright
Dan
one. The
says a
outside
quarter
was
cup,
beautiful, the
a
inside
quarter
was,
cup
like,
times
raw.
3. That would be 75%. Whereas 2/3 is 66%. So
So
2/3 is
mine's
a little bit less than
Yeah.
3/4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit less.
Okay.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Dan, on that one. Yeah,
All
right.
right. Thank you.
Yeah, a little bit crunchy. She
Here's-
said, well, it's okay. It kind of adds a little bit of texture to it.
No,
Right? Crunch.
I started over.
You started over? Oh, darn it. I thought she was going to leave that to
No.
here. You can have this
Oh,
back.
I won't do that.
Crunch.
Use my.
But everyone, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. And Tom's going to leave us with another song. Actually, maybe there's 2 songs. Maybe there's another one. We'll sing the last one. It was the night before Christmas.
Nice. Rocking
Yeah.
around the Christmas tree.
Happy
Holly,
holiday.
Mistletoe hung where you can see. Everybody tries to stop. Rocking around the Christmas tree. Let the Christmas spirit ring. Later we'll have some pumpkin pie and we'll do some caroling. You will get this sentimental
Mental feeling.
voices singing,
Let's be jolly. The halls with boughs of holly.
Rocking around
Around the
the
Christmas tree.
Christmas tree.
Everyone dancing merrily in the new
You old-fashioned way. Woohoo!
So what was the other one?
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a disabled person was able to hear because, well, the politicians were not amongst.
Not a disabled person could hear because they couldn't afford to get those hearing aids.
That's right.
That's true. Yeah.
Not a breadcrumb was left because, well, the Grinch took it away.
I don't actually have a song for that, but
Oh.
Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree, the leaves are so unchanging. Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree, leaves are so unchanging. Not only green, also when it's golden.
Other word.
Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree, the leaves are so unchanging. Again.
All right, boys and girls, let's gather around and we'll listen to 'Twas the Night Before Christmas.
And all through the house.
And all through, not a crumb could be found, not even a mouse.
You didn't.
Because we were hungry and we ate that mouse.
At sometime tomorrow, you and I,
Yeah.
Brent, will get together, and it won't be a live segment, I don't think, right? It may or may not be, but yeah, we'll be together tomorrow, so everybody can
Yeah.
look forward to that one.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
I do look forward to that one.
Yeah, I'm actually making.
We haven't
a-
had one with you guys in the same place.
Yeah.
In the
Oh,
same
wow.
space.
In
We're
the
actually
same
making. Yeah, we're making a voyage over to visit his friends and family. Sonia and I are making a voyage over to see Neil.
Nice.
Our other friend Tom, I got my aunt who lives over on the mainland, so we're gonna just drop by to see her. Yeah, and then when we get back, so we're coming back tentatively. I got a show on Monday, and it's for the CP, and it's gonna be a really important one. So we're going to be diving into that one.
CP?
Now it's either cerebral
Cerebral
palsy.
palsy.
Oh, because okay,
So-
thank you.
So it's
Sorry,
either- yeah. So
in
it's either
Alberta, we've been overwhelmed with CPP versus
Oh,
yeah.
APP, so I
Yeah.
got
Yes.
confused for
Yeah.
a minute.
So it's
No
either we
worries.
come back,
Yeah.
we come back on Sunday night, or we actually broadcast live at Neil's place. But in order to do that, I have to talk to TransLink. So I have to find out to catch a 5 o'clock ferry on Monday, I need to find what time do I need to leave Newton so I can get out of there to get down. So we will be, if we do broadcast live, and I'm going to be fine-tuned that, Neil, and that get dropped off by John. He can drop us off, and we can broadcast live at your place. And really, actually, I'm hoping that that works, because that's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
Be the first
yeah.
show that we've actually done actually at your
yeah,
place.
no, it'd be cool.
Oh wow, that'll be awesome.
We'll
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
we'll have eggnog and Scottish shortbread cookies.
Oh, now
Yeah, you
I'm
know-
jealous.
Here's the funny part.
I would gluten myself for those.
Yeah, but here's the funny part, Sandra, is that if I'm sitting right beside him when the show is done, they'll be like, "What? Hit the button? Go done!" Like, oh damn.
You hit the wrong button, Brent.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll watch for the bloopers at the end.
Oh yeah, that'll be funny.
Yeah, Brent will learn all my production secrets.
Yeah.
And then he'll just kick me to the curb and say, "I don't need you anymore. I got this figured out."
No. We can't. No, we can't get rid of you, Neil.
Oh, and
Yeah.
just what I've learned about production, it's not so easy to do when you're
Yeah.
actually doing a show.
Oh no.
I
It's-
have done live production. I have done all of this stuff. I've done live radio on the internet for internet streaming radio, and I have to tell you that when you are going and doing it yourself, all of it, including intros, exits, bumpers, and all the rest of the stuff for everything, you are going like a rat race, and
Yeah.
people think it's easy, but it's not.
No,
It's not.
Very
It's not.
no,
very
I've
calculated work.
barely gotten my toe wet, and I'm already overwhelmed with all the
Yeah.
prospects of it. So
Yeah. One thing that we'll have to figure, because I know when Neil does the show, he has the headset on, so like he can hear everything that's going on. And so when I'm broadcasting, we'll be broadcasting, but it'll be so that everyone can hear me and he can hear me. So it'll be interesting.
I think we can figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll figure it
Yeah,
out.
we'll figure it out. Otherwise, it'd be like broadcasting live on here.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
I mean,
like
as long as
we
you
can
mix
either
your
do two headsets.
Yeah.
Or I can also boost the sound and we can go without headsets. So we'll try
yeah,
both.
we'll,
and see
we'll
what
figure it out.
works.
We'll do a test run on it first. And
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's gonna be fun. Forward to it. And yeah, like I want to just wish everyone a Merry Christmas and all the best in the new year. And just like what we said is, if you need help, like Jeff mentioned, if anyone who needs help, just reach out on social media. Bombard Twitter. You want to call it X, call it Twitter. Throw your mutual aid requests out there, your wish list out there, any app, and you never know, right? And just ask people to retweet it and like it, and I'll spread the words. If I see it, I'll spread the
yeah,
word.
me too. I will.
The
Yeah.
only thing I ask is don't put junk food on your wish list.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
If
because
you
when
Yeah.
people see that, they go, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Please put
But it's
what,
Christmas. I mean, everybody deserves a little Christmas treat.
Yeah, like a little lint candy.
a little bit of chocolate here and
Lint
there.
candy
Maybe
canes. Oh, speaking
like
of-
some candy cane legs. Well, maybe not these legs, but yeah. Definitely put some stuff that's meaningful that you want, and never know. Santa might just come right down and jump off his sleigh, and because Rudolph with his nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? And here we go with that one, Rudolph. I'll get Tom.
Oh.
Rudolph.
What are you doing to him here, Brent? Like,
Where the heck is that thing? What is that one?
Paige, hang on. Hang on.
he's like, he just flipped that way, and now he's got to flip back.
I got
Jeez.
Rudolph.
I'll just be like the guy from what was it, Super Dave, where they're like, "You guys know Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? Oh yeah, we know Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer." Da ba ba ba. Ba, 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 ba. I don't know if I can find it fast enough here.
These are the Daves
Yeah,
I know.
I
I know. These are the
These
Daves
are the Daves I know.
These are the Daves I know. I know. These are the Daves I know.
We are looking for a wonderful white Christmas. Not this year. Not this year. Not in the Lower Mainland.
Okay.
I'm really glad I could get on the show today.
I'm glad too. I'm really happy. you
Okay,
did.
awesome. I'm glad that everyone.
I really missed the I had my housing situation just got to a point where I couldn't join you guys anymore, and I really missed
I
seeing
know.
both you and Tom.
Hey, response to my own name. Comet and Cupid and
Donner and Blitzen.
What do
You recall the most famous reindeer of all. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer
Had
had a very shiny nose. And if you ever saw him, you could even say it glows.
all of
Of the other reindeer,
used to
often call him names.
They never let
But poor Rudolph in any reindeer game.
Like Monopoly.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright,
Don't you think
Won't
won't you ride my sleigh tonight? Then all the reindeer,
Wiggly, Rudolph the
nose reindeer, you'll go down his story. I love the way he jazzes it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Okay, now break your guitar like they all do, like smash it at the end.
No.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Merry
Okay.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.